Let's go. Let's go. Tony, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, Coach Henry. How you doing, brother? It's great to
Sir,
be
I
paired
am
up with you.
blessed. I am blessed and highly favored. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. So, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us today. Thank you. Thank you for all of those who are tuning in. Come on in, grab your favorite beverage, something just relax, get some information. And yeah, I'm here with Coach Tony, ready to rock and roll. How you doing, man?
Doing good, fired up, super excited. I always get excited, particularly when the topics are fun, like today's topic of some of those VA claim myths. It's a great topic to have because a lot of us have experienced it both. As a veteran going for claims, as well as, on this side of the fence, helping veterans, get after their claims. So,
Yeah. Yeah, man, this topic, I guess it hits home because I dealt with a lot of the myths that we tell ourselves, right? We're constantly skeptical, or um, there's the what we call the barracks lawyers, right? That they this is how you do it, or hey, this happened to me, or
absolutely.
don't do this because this is gonna, yeah. So this is a great topic for us to just kind of debunk some of those myths
Yeah, yeah.
and go over some of the facts.
Yeah.
Right. So this is really cool for us to kind of hit head on. But before we do all of that, let's do a round of introduction. If everyone who's in and tuning in, if you can just throw in the chat your name, branch of service, uh, just where you're at in the world. I know most parts of the world right now is, at least in the U.S., they're kind of freezing, right? So, but yeah, my name is Henry. I've been a coach here going on. Yeah, last month I hit 3 years as a coach. Came to VACI as a client, trying to understand this whole process, and used to be one of those that say the VA is out to get me, but it was actually myself. I just wasn't doing things the right way, and came here, um, got myself involved with the elite program, got a coach, and now I'm sitting 100% permanent total. So eternally grateful for this company. Thankful for Brian and the whole leadership to create this wonderful company. But how about you, Tony? How did you find out about us?
Doing great. This topic absolutely does resonate with you, Henry. I know we've had some private conversations in terms of your journey, which I'm sure you're going to expand on and share here with the chat. I as well, retired Army veteran. Thankfully, in that process, I had some great mentors on my way out the door through retirement that shared with me some good lessons learned. As Brian Reese always says, get your butt to the doctors, get that medical evidence, and that's what I did. And that led me, thankfully, knock on wood, getting 100% PNT. And so, I retired a little bit over a year and a half ago. Kind of got on the what am I going to do with my real life struggle bus for a while, pinged around. And then, about a year ago, found this company, signed on, and it has just been a fantastic journey, helping veterans, first and foremost, get after their why
Uh-huh.
uh, to their journey. The challenges of putting the puzzle together, if you will, just really kind of resonates with me, and it kind of fulfills that emptiness I had leaving the service of giving back to servicemen and women in uniform, and then now post uniform. So just been a fantastic journey, and so happy to be a part of such a fantastic organization that really does care about our veterans.
Amen. Yeah, there's a saying that says a blessing is not really a blessing until you pass it on to somebody else. So I wholeheartedly believe in that. But hey, let's look in the chat, man. We got Got a whole bunch of our Army folks here. Yes, let's go Army. Let me see. Mark, Navy, 87 to 92. Desert Storm. Welcome, welcome. What else we got here? We got Carter from New Jersey. 100% P&T. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Life changing. Absolutely life
We
changing.
got Wally from San Antonio, Texas, United States Army. Let's go.
There we go. There we go.
Awesome. Let's go Army.
You see,
Usually there's a lot of us here, you know what I mean? We come very heavily, we come strong. Dave, United States Air Force, 78 to 82, then Army, 83 to 89. Awesome, awesome. Everyone, just want to make sure you all understand. Thank you for your service. I know sometimes we go back and forth with a little banter, but that's what we do as siblings, right? We all fight amongst each other, but it's all banter. It's nothing serious. It's all just kind of doing what we do, I guess. Jose, United States Army, 75 to 91, Reserve, National Guard. Thank you for your service, sir. Thank you for your service. Larry, United States Army,
Mark,
100% P&T. Nice.
yeah, we see Mark over there, dog-faced soldier, 100% P&T through VASI. Hey, congratulations and on succeeding your journey there. That's
Part of the Hundo Club.
It's a beautiful thing when you see it. It really is.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let me get to kind of pass those blessings on. But yeah, man, that's great. Thank you all for being here. Let's see. All right. So we did that. Let's go over the disclaimer, right? Just to get that out of the way, get the the fun stuff out of the way. So, disclaimer, right? We are not accredited agents, VSOs, attorneys, or any other entity recognized by the Department of Veteran Affairs, and we are not affiliated with the VA in any way. VA Claims Insiders an education-based, excuse me, coaching company for disabled veterans exploring eligibility for increased VA disability benefits and who wish to learn more about that process. VA Claims Insider also connect veterans with our vetted independent medical professionals in our preferred provider network for medical examinations and independent medical opinion. We refer to that around here as IMOs for a wide range of disability conditions. All right. All right. So we have a lot of topics to go over today, a lot of myths to kind of debunk today, Tony. So let's get the ball rolling. So like that, we can hopefully tackle all of them. But if not, there is going to be an article that our chat is going to throw in there. So like that, you guys can, read it later on and make sure that you guys are aware of, all of the myths in case we don't get to go over them. But Tony, let's go. Let's start off with
Absolutely.
the one that, resonates the most with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first one, if I get VA disability benefits, it will take away from another veteran's benefits.
I hear about that a lot.
I know in your journey, you struggled quite a bit with that in our conversation that we had previously. What were some of those struggles? Like, what were your thoughts on that?
So yeah, that one alone, I again, from those barracks lawyers, you hear that, man, if I take these benefits, if I go after this, it's going to take away from somebody else. It's going to affect the next veteran. It's going to affect Tony, right? But that's not. They're all independent. They're independent from each other, right? They're not. Let me take away from this vet and give it to the next one. And I feel it actually does the it's all the way around, because when I was living up in New York, it was, we lost a lot of benefits in our hospital because not many veterans were going after, or not many veterans had the same condition or were going after in that community. So those resources were put somewhere else, right? Like we had painting, we had group therapy sessions, and we lost it because there wasn't many people showing up. But I
Mm.
feel like that actually had a lot to do with this whole, you know, let me not go after this, let me not do this because of the fact that it's going to hurt somebody else. I feel like it actually did the opposite, if I can be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely does not affect other veterans' benefits. They're completely independent of one another, and a lot of times, veterans feel, certain way in terms of, like, example, hey, I only served X amount of years, or I was medically discharged, or hey, I wasn't a combat veteran, but that person is a combat veteran, and so if you choose not to get your benefits, the only ones you're hurting in the end is yourself, and more importantly than yourself is your family.
Yeah,
So you gotta apply, online now. You gotta apply. You gotta get in there.
I agree. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Okay, so the next one up, I saw a lot of comments in the chat, Vietnam veteran, era veterans. I've been out of the service too long to apply for VA benefits. As a coach who recently hit 3 years, Henry, how many times have you had that chat? I know you've heard that a dime a dozen, right?
Yeah, I've had many vets come through here and say, I don't even know if this is gonna work because I got out in 80 something, I got out in 90 something, I got out in 2001. Maybe this might work. I don't know. Is it possible? Can I still get benefits? So there is no statute of limitation when it comes to your VA disability benefits. So you can always apply, right? You can always apply for the benefits that you deserve at any time, right? Whether you got out 10 months ago or you got out 10 years ago, there is no limitation on the time when you can apply for your benefits.
Right.
Now there might
But
be things that you may not qualify for, as far as, like, let's say there are some presumptives, right, that you have to be diagnosed with or something like that. But again, schedule yourself for a call where you can get to talk to one of our veteran ambassadors, and you have a 20-minute conversation with one of them, and then just to see if that's something that you may be pursuing, you may be qualified for pursuing, but you can always apply for your benefits.
yeah, that's absolutely right. And that also ties back to that medical evidence. A lot of folks, and, this is a myth that's coming up here, and I'll talk about it in a second. The military medical records, I don't have any my conditions diagnosed in my military medical records, so I'll just get denied. Why even bother?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? You'd be surprised how many veterans I talk to that are sitting on dollars, literally years and years of dollars of compensation that they could have got for claims they could have submitted years and years and years ago, because they just think that thought. I don't have my conditions diagnosed in my military medical records. Um,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that, Henry?
Well, as far as medical evidence, there could be other conditions that you may potentially be leaving out, right? Or maybe there's something through your DD 214 that can be figured out. Maybe buddy statements. Maybe you have to go dig into the archives, newspaper articles, something that shows that you were in that vicinity, you were deployed to that area. Because there's also a lot of veterans that maybe they were diagnosed, but a lot of their records were lost in that fire, right? So
Yeah.
it's just, again, have a conversation with a coach here, and then we can figure out what's the best strategy for you. That's another thing that we work on here. Sort of our bread and butter is strategy, education, medical evidence. Your strategy, Tony, is different than my strategy to get to 100%. Different than the next vet. Different than the next vet. Each one of us are different in this whole process. We all served in different time. We all have different illnesses. We all have different allergies, right? So, um, right? Every person's strategy is going to be a little different. And as far as education, that's what we're doing now, is kind of educating you guys in this whole VA claims myth thing that we like to tell ourselves sometimes. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it also kind of resonates with our program here with that one-on-one coaching, going through the strategy session as you were talking about. No two veterans are the same. Everybody's
Yeah.
journey is absolutely different. And a lot of times, even as a coach, sometimes you could feel like, oh, this person is automatically going to be this. But then when you talk to them, the journey just takes you down a completely different road. But it's absolutely imperative, again, you got to get signed up. That one-on-one coaching is just going to be life-changing in terms of the direction you're going. There's a lot of veterans that my knee, my elbow, they have these specific small claims that they want to chase, and I get it. We get it. But that's that knee, that ankle, that elbow, whatever the case may be, that's not going to be life changing for your family. It's
Right.
definitely not. And that's what you're going to find out when you sign up and you get with the coach and you get that one-on-one strategy is you think you're going to go down this road. And after that conversation, you end up on a better journey that's going to be so much more beneficial for yourself and for your family. So moving on to the next wonderful myth. The VA already gave me a disability rating. So I can't apply again. And I got my rating. It is what it is. I got what I got. I know in our conversation, Henry, initially, you kind of felt like that, didn't you?
Well, no, it was actually, I was advised before coming here that, to not do anything more, don't rock the boat, right? I was told that at 20% to not rock the boat. But that'll be a topic for that. But yeah, it is true. The VA process is never over, until you quit. Uh, full disclaimer, not every vet is 100% disabled. We do like to make sure we want you to get the rating that you deserve, right? The rating that you legally, morally, and ethically deserve, whatever rating that is, right? So we want to make sure that that is possible. But at the moment, maybe you're not 100% disabled, right? So, but the process is never over. It's only over when you say, you know what, I quit. I'm done with this stuff. I don't want to deal with it anymore, right?
Yep.
But yeah, perhaps there may be some conditions that you may qualify for, but it might be a secondary, right? Or it might be presumptive. Again, presumptives are coming up and popping up every so often, right? As research is happening, so things are coming up through the pipeline. So at the moment, you may not be 100%, or you may not be at the rating that you deserve. So just continue to keep going to your doctor appointments, continue to keeping track of all the stuff that you're doing. I always tell my vets, hey, start a journal, right? Start tracking down this whole journey of this whole process. It also helps you stay focused, but it's always good to keep track of your healthcare.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, medical evidence wins claims. Um, continuity of healthcare, continuity of healthcare. Cannot say it enough. You'd be surprised how many veterans you talk to that they never even signed up for VA healthcare. That's a huge myth. Hey, I've only got 10% for tinnitus, so I've got these other things going on. I can't go see the VA. Tremendous myth out there. They're definitely there to take care of veterans. That's their entire purpose. And I know a lot of us sometimes feel certain ways about certain things, but at the end of the day, by law, they have to provide those services to us as veterans. So
I do want to just make sure, that the number to our veteran ambassadors gets thrown out there so you guys can have it. Also, the links, if you guys decide to you know what, I want to get the ball rolling. I want to start working with Tony. I want to start working with Henry. Um, our links are there if you guys decide to click it, and we'll get to work, upload your docs, and we'll start to, kind of go over your journey, your strategy, right? So that you can get what you deserve. Go ahead, Tony. Sorry to cut you off.
No. Hey, so if I get seen for mental health or have a VA rating for PTSD, the VA is going to take my guns away.
Yeah, that's not true.
They're going to show up. They're going to show up at my house. They're going to take all my guns away.
This one actually, to me, it's one that it makes me sad sometimes, because again, a lot of vets, they're struggling with a condition, but the fear of, again, myths, they don't go out and get what they deserve. They don't go out and get the treatment. Forget about the compensation, the treatment that they deserve, because of the fear of all of this. And in all actuality, I feel like you're actually hurting yourself more, because you're not seeking the treatment. You're not seeking medications that you may deserve, coping skills. And now you're internally dealing with these demons, right? Or with that invisible disease, just because of not understanding the law and understanding these things. So unless you're a danger to yourself, right? So having a condition of PTSD, having a condition of major depressive disorder or anxiety, it does not prevent you from exercising your Second Amendment, right? Again, unless you're a danger to yourself, which 99% of us are probably not. But again, now, instead of you actually going for these conditions and getting the treatment, again, I'd rather focus on the treatment than the compensation. Now you're not even getting that, so now you're dealing with these demons by yourself.
Yeah.
You're trying to treat yourself with whatever coping mechanism you decide to treat yourself with, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or whatever it is, because again, you're not seeking that treatment that you deserve. So by law, the VA can't take away your guns. Your Second Amendment right is fully intact there, right? So yeah, just again, have a conversation with your coach so like that you guys can understand. You can consider your circumstances, and everyone's different.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times too, it's unfortunately the veteran through actions that you shouldn't be doing. It doesn't matter if they're a veteran or not. Their actions are what cause local authorities within their state to seize their firearms based off of the state regulations. But absolutely, again, the VA does not have that authority to, knock on your door. Hey, you're 70% in PTSD or 100% PTSD. We're here to go ahead and collect up your firearm. Could you imagine if that were true, the arms room? What would they do with all those? You know what I mean? Like it would be. It's almost comical. You know what I mean?
I mean, again, because of just again the way misinformation gets spread around so easily nowadays. Something can happen to one vet, but you don't even know the full story behind it, and you just see the behind it. You just see what people allow you to see. That you're not really understanding what's going on behind it. And yeah, they took that veteran stuff away, but again, that's not the case for everyone. Okay. I do have a myth that I want to throw out there. My VSO, which I kind of alluded to earlier, my VSO said I should be happy with the VA disability rating percentage and not to rock the boat, right? Again, this one was me. I dealt with this one back in when I was in New York. This actually was an advice I got. And I felt that, but then I was like, man, you know what? I don't know. I don't think this is right.
What was
applied again.
What was the initial rating? What was the initial rating that he told you?
Well, I got out of the military at 10%, right? But then my back was rated at 0, and that's the one that really, really affected me the most. So when I got to 20, he was like, "Woo, you need to just stay there. Like, just you should be fine." And listen, you'll never hear any of us bash anyone that's helping out there, helping veterans. But again, the only time that you should say I'm done is when you're happy with the rating that you deserve, right? So don't ever give up until you're legally, morally, and ethically getting what you deserve. So have a conversation with your coach, have a conversation with someone just to make sure you're getting what you actually deserve, because man, I would have still been at 20% right now if I would have taken that advice.
Yeah, that's absolutely
true.
true.
And I wasn't a sailor, so I don't want to rock the boat, and I'm not a good swimmer, so I didn't want to sink and stuff. So, but no, yeah, man, I'm glad I stood on the journey and I said, you know what, I need to get what I deserve.
Yeah, that's and that's an unfortunate thing. A little comment that I read there, Kathleen, hey, congratulations on starting your journey right there, Kathleen Ann. But it was the same thing with me, you know what I mean? I went up and I sat down with the VSO, and he's like, hey man, once I submit this, this is it. I've got a lot of other clients, soldiers to deal with. I don't really have time to be, answering phone calls and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that, so anyways, I was living at the time in El Paso, but we were moving closer to Central Texas, and a buddy of mine, we happened to be on the same journey together, clearing, retiring, the whole thing. And he gives me a phone call, and he's like, hey, how's your appointments going? I said, they haven't called me yet. He goes, really? I'm done. I said, what? Yeah, I did my appointments 2 weeks ago, bro. I mean, I've been on vacation. That's why I haven't bothered you. But yeah, I did those like 2 weeks ago. So I got on the phone, called this dude, and, of course, voicemail, no response, this, that, and the other. And so I had to kind of escalate it a little bit up, and then finally, it got rescheduled through the VA to the area that I was moving to. And of course, I naturally now, on top of the stress of, relocating my family after retiring, now all I could think is, oh, this is going to be a different area for the CMP exam, and everybody said it was great over here, but people had horror stories for over there, and I had those appointments quickly booked, went through the process, and got my decision about 10 days after my retirement, so my official retirement.
Yeah. Nah, listen. Again, there's a lot of horror stories out there that we can always promote, right? And as the veteran community, we tend to do that whole promoting of the negative, but there's a lot of positive stories out there. Great people that do CMP exams that are not always out to get you, right? There's a lot of great people that do great work, especially again, VSOs. I always commend them because they're out there doing the best that they can. But yeah, kudos to anybody helping veterans. Kathleen, welcome aboard. If you decide to work with either one of us, again, our links will be in the chat. So you can sign up with either one of us, and we can get the ball rolling. All right. So if I apply for a VA disability rating increase, the VA will reduce my rating. So I always like to break this down, Tony, into two sections, right? The rating, the service connection, right? That's about the past. That's what got it connected with what happened in the service, or if it's a secondary condition. But the rating is about the present, right? So if your conditions have gotten worse, right? So it's highly likely that the VA will find it. The VA will decrease, right? Will now bring you from 70 to 30% if your condition has gotten worse. again, your rating is based on your current symptoms. So if your current symptoms are not of someone at 30%, why would they decrease you, right? They're going to increase you,
That's right.
right? So again, medical evidence is what wins claims at the end of the day. So,
And that's what I was talking about earlier, right? Continuity of care I was talking about. As long as you continue to go back and show that your symptoms are getting worse, that potential for an increase is going to be there for you.
yeah.
But if you don't get your butt back to the doctor and you're not following up with those medical appointments that they schedule for you, you're hurting yourself at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You're absolutely hurting yourself.
Yeah.
You know. So if I get 100%, right, the VA rating or a PNT status, I can't work anymore. I can't work anymore.
I'm working.
Right.
I'm working. I've also coached many vets get to 100% and have PNT status. What PNT status means is that one or more of your conditions are deemed static, that the VA feels that it'll never get better, right? Again, here goes back to that whole barracks lawyers thing. They're probably confusing it with 100% TDIU, which is total disability unemployability. And even then, you can still work. It's just that the VA is going to not pay you at 100. They'll pay you at the rating that you actually are, whether it's 70, 80, or 90. But yeah, that's typically where they confuse it at. But being 100%, being 100% scheduler or 100% PNT, you can still have an employment. You can still have a job. There's many of the coaches here that are 100%. Obviously, they're coaches, so they're working. But there's also many vets that we have coached along the journey that are in the Hundo Club, and they're still working. A lot of vets decide to keep working because of the fact that, man, am I really going to just stay home and not do anything? So a lot of vets continue to work so they can keep that mind, stagnant, not stay stagnant at home and not really doing anything with yourself. So they'd rather be out in the world and still contributing to society.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one that I hear a lot is particularly with older veterans. In one of the last jobs I had, we had a lot of government employees that were former service members and or retirees that were old. I can't draw Social Security benefits and VA benefits. Have you heard that before?
Yeah. I'm sorry, say that again.
Have you heard that before, where when it comes to Social Security benefits, I can't collect Social Security benefits if I'm collecting VA benefits?
Yeah, I've heard of that one, but once you pass 50% in your VA disability benefits, you qualify for both.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to get both of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do want to just address real quick Alvina's, hopefully I'm saying that right. How long does it take for an appeal? Well, it depends which appeal, right? There's 3 types of appeals. There's supplemental, right? Supplemental means you have new and relevant evidence to support your case that has not previously been addressed. And then there's the HLR, which is higher level review, meaning you can't submit new evidence. Is all the evidence you already submitted. I like to call that one, can I speak to your supervisor, right? Someone senior at the VA who's been there for some time. And then there's the Board of Appeals. So each one of those, they have their own time frame. The first 2, supplemental and higher level, the average that we've seen here, again, is 5 to 6 months. And listen, that can be, I've had vets in a month have it approved, and I've had vets 9, 10 months, and it's been approved then. So again, it's just a hurry up and wait thing when it comes to the VA, but the average that we've seen here is 5 to 6 months. The Board of Appeals, that one is where you actually go into speak to us. You get to present your case in front of the board of judges. So that one can take, years sometimes.
Yeah, that's a very long process in terms of going after particularly the Board of Appeals. But
again, every case is different. So just make sure, again, just practice the patience, practice which is why I love what we do here. You know, we have classes throughout the week where you guys get to build community, build that sense of, oh, cool, man. I'm not the only one that the VA is delaying their stuff, right? It's not just me. It allows you to feel that sense of community, and you guys get to cover each other's six when it comes to this daunting process.
Yeah, and that also goes back to what you were talking about earlier, why it's so important to have that intent to file in, right? That's potential big money
Uh-huh.
that they're throwing out the window if before you get on this journey. If you don't have that intent to file already with the VA, it could take a long time for the process. In this case, in this scenario, maybe it takes 6 to 8 months for them to make a decision. Then you try the higher level review, and then then you go into the other one. And next thing um, if you don't have that intent to file, they're just going to back pay you from that claim submission. But you potentially could be throwing out hundreds of dollars depending on what your claims go into. You know what I mean?
Correct. Correct.
So once I get service connected, I must go to the VA for all my medical care and treatment.
Yeah, no. There's many vets that myself, I'm going to speak for myself. I have done all my treatment at the VA before service connection, and everything I've done it all at the VA. I've had nothing but great things to say about my VA healthcare side of it, right? It's been great. But there are veterans that they just don't want to step foot in a VA hospital, and you don't have to. Okay. You don't have to go to a VA facility to get treatment and care. But here's the big but is that if the VA decides to, propose a decrease or propose, getting your rating evaluated, they don't have any records, right? So then you would have to just make sure that wherever you go, you're able to access your medical records, right, easily. A lot of these private doctors it's a little bit difficult to get your medical records from them. So just make sure wherever you decide to go, that you're able to access your medical records at the drop of a dime whenever you want it. Because if the VA says, well, you're ready for your back at 40, we proposing to bring it down to 20. Here's what you would need to show proof that you're being seen, treatment, all that good stuff, right?
Mm.
So just always, always, always. The rule of thumb here is always medical evidence wins claims. So wherever you go, just make sure you're able to get your medical evidence.
Yeah, I tell you, here's a great example, right? Like recently, I have TRICARE Prime, right? So I reached out, did a medical appointment. While I was there, the doctor's like, hey, these blood tests, I had to go do a bunch of blood tests. He goes, that's going to be faster and cheaper. It's free through the VA, but you got to pay a certain amount of copay based off of, the program that you're signed up for. So it was very informative. Like, oh man, at the time I didn't really think about that. Then I went ahead, signed up for that healthcare, and there's so many other different resources. A lot of times, you're not just going to the hospital.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of other, medical organizations that the VA outsources to for, medical treatments and stuff like that. It really just kind of depends on where you're at, how big your city is, et cetera, et cetera. The resources that they may or may not have to outsource based off of the hospital that's within your region. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I have one for you, Tony.
Sure.
And this is actually a big one all the time I hear. I should have a VA rating because the VA medically diagnosed me and is treating me for the condition.
Mm.
So I see this one a lot, especially with the famous sleep apnea.
Oh, yeah.
Man, the VA gave me the CPAP machine.
That's right.
They diagnosed me with the condition. Why am I not rated for it? Like, what, man? The VA
Yeah.
You keep dropping the ball. What's wrong with the VA? So I always give this example to vets. It's like, if God forbid you were painting your house and you fell off your ladder and you went to the VA hospital, you got treated for your leg and your knee and all that good stuff. You can't go file a claim for that. That's not a service connection issue, right? So just because you receive the care at a VA facility, right, that doesn't mean that you're entitled to VA benefits under the law.
No.
Now, right, if let's say myself, right, over the years I started to develop migraines. I never had migraines in service, right? But I'm also service connected for other conditions that can be the cause of my migraines, right? So then now that would be a secondary condition to my primary conditions. That's where I had to get it served. That's how I had to get it service connected. But
Yeah.
again, just because you go to a VA hospital and they diagnose you with something, that doesn't mean that you're going to get it service connected. They're two separate worlds: the benefit and the healthcare side.
Yeah.
The
But
hospital is just the hospital. It's just there
but
to
that
treat you.
also kind of goes back to what you were saying, where um, if you have this thing going on with you, like sleep apnea, I get rated for sleep apnea. Um, it's that healthcare. Hey, this is going on with you. Is it more important to have the medical treatment that you need to continue to function as a human, or the compensation that goes with it? Money is great, but it ain't going to do you no good if the medical treatment isn't being utilized. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? But you're absolutely correct. A lot of veterans, hey, I've got, 900 pages of me going to the VA with all these things that I've been, getting after, and that's great. That's great. But at the same juncture, too, you've got to have, and it goes back to that one-on-one strategy call with that coach that you get assigned to, is taking that great wealth of information. You're doing the right thing. You're getting the diagnosis. You're getting that continuity
Correct.
there. Is connecting that to the other conditions that you are already rated at. That's
Yeah.
really the path of least resistance, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. Bradley here, just real quick in the chat, he threw in what triggers the VA to reevaluate your percentage. Well, if you're 100% P&T, Bradley, submitting a claim. You submit a claim, then the VA pulls your file and reevaluates you. But once you're P&T, they don't reevaluate you unless, again, there's two options: unless you submit a claim or they suspect fraud, right? So somebody reports and says, "Hey, this veteran is whatever, whatever," then the VA, throws out an investigation, right? But if you never submit a claim, the VA considers you to be stagnant, so they won't necessarily reevaluate your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, right? Like if I'm going for a specific claim, let's say, it's mental health, I'm going for an increase in that specific disability, they're going to open up that claim to look at it, right? And
Yeah,
just as much, right? Increase, right? Potentially could be decreased. If you have records that show that the treatment that the VA is providing has gone the opposite direction, it definitely could. You know what I mean?
right.
Not usually the case, right? Usually symptoms get worse over the years,
Yeah, I
but
mean, I don't know about you, but I get older over the years, so
yeah, it's definitely. And a big myth is, a lot of times the VA takes into account when they're giving you a rating for something, right? They're not just looking at the current condition of the service member or the veteran, they're looking at the longevity of that person. So, is this condition likely going to get worse and worse and worse and worse as this person progressively gets older? So a lot of times, we think that it's just based off of what we see right now, but potentially, as it gets worse and worse and worse, they look at it that way. Um, but we'll move
In the
on to
chat,
another one.
well, real quick, I just want to just in the
Yeah.
chat, I saw Jimmy asked the question: Is VA staff VSO bias? Is outside of VA staff better? Not sure what you mean by that, but um, yeah, not. Again, there's a lot of us when we go through this process, we hear a lot of the horror stories because that's what gets promoted the most. And me personally, when I like to get feedback from vets when they go in for like CMP exams, or vets go into QTC or VS or wherever they go, and man, you just hear the wonderful stories about, man, this person sat there, listened to me, and a lot of those stories never get promoted, right? So are they biased? I don't know. Again, I don't understand what that meant by, are they VSO bias? Because the VSO doesn't make a decision, right? It's a rater. But as long as you have the evidence that supports your case, as long as you have a nexus that supports your connection, you're in the high probability of getting your claim approved. If you're missing the three elements that get something service connected, right? In service, current diagnoses, medical nexus. If you're missing one of those, you can't blame the VA, right? But yeah, I just the horror stories are always quick to get promoted first, versus the great stories that a lot of people do. A lot of doctors out there do for us vets. I always say it's like the restaurant story, that you go to a restaurant, you have a great meal, hop in your Uber and you go home. Man, that food was great. As opposed to, you have a horrible meal. You're on Yelp, YouTube, on all these sites.
Clickety clack then, clickety clack.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Firing for effect.
Rodney, real quick, as far as, do you need a nexus for the PACT Act? Not necessarily, right? The PACT Act serves as the nexus for that condition, for that connection stuff. So not necessarily, but again, just have a conversation with the coach, so just to make sure that you're qualifying for that. Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
No. Keep firing away. Yeah, and don't forget, if you do have those presumptive conditions, you do got to get the diagnosis for it, though, right? You got to have the things that are going on wrong with you, like burn pits and bronchitis, for example. If you're not experiencing bronchitis, you can't just claim, "Hey, I got bronchitis because I served in Iraq."
Yeah.
You got to have that diagnosis.
Listen, again, full disclaimer: this is myself, nobody else. I filed for burn pit. That was the condition I filed for, burn pit, and I got it denied because burn pit is not a condition. What I had to file for was, which I finally did it right, was asthma and allergic rhinitis. But I filed for burn pit. That's literally what it was, and they they denied it, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's and part of that journey, though, right, is, and exactly what we preach here, that second component, strategy, that education, is getting yourself educated and understanding how that medical evidence ties to winning that claim. We all start this journey, and typically we know about this much. What the barracks lawyers or battle buddies or other veterans in our family, as they went through the process, those are the experiences we know. But it's just so amazing how many educational opportunities are there. So, like example, you submit a claim, it comes back denied. The VA tells you the answers to the test. Hey, you have no diagnosis. Hey, you have no nexus connecting this condition to your service, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of folks, they just see that denial and they don't sit down and really pull out a highlighter and start going through, because some of those can be easily overturned, specifically if you have the evidence. Like, hey, reviewers are humans and people make mistakes. And a lot of times when veterans submit that claim, they get that decision letter back. They're so mad that they got denied that they don't actually read. And so, like example, had a client submitted a claim. The claim came back denied. As soon as I read the denial letter, I'm like, what are you talking about? You have a diagnosis, you have a nexus that's connecting it to that service condition. I don't know why that reviewer denied your claim. However, comma, go ahead and submit that higher level review because you're going to have that more seasoned reviewer to look at those things and get it overturned. And this is something recent within the last couple of years, right, Henry, where
Yeah.
they recently started up because there was such a backlog of, veterans that were trying to go for these appeals. And this is just a much more streamlined process, right? Now, it does take, like Henry said, 3, 6 months sometimes. But you are getting the opportunity when you submit that higher level review to have that call with that higher level reviewer. This is your opportunity one-on-one quickly to speak to them and get your 2 cents in voice to voice, and a lot of veterans miss that bus on that one.
Yeah, and a lot of these things that we're talking about today, again, they're very general, right? We can't get really into very specific stuff, but make sure you guys are out there. Make sure you guys are picking up Brian's book, VA Claim Secrets. Again, I don't know how Brian has the time to do all these blogs and all these books. Like, this guy's just a wealth of knowledge, man. I am eternally grateful for what he does, man. But please, guys, pick up the book. Super helpful, right? A lot of this knowledge is informative. Pick it up for yourself, and if you already got everything you need from it, pass it on to another vet. This information is crucial for us all to know and understand. And man, there's so many vets out here that are guided by misinformation that it's actually hurting them, right? Like even this one myth that I'm reading here. There aren't any additional benefits for my dependents if I get 100% P&C. That's a lie, right? There's a whole array of benefits for your dependents. There's a whole array of benefits for your dependents. Not only, again, the financial part, but then there's Champ VA. There's educational benefits. You guys can shop at the PX, right? There's a base nearby you. But beyond all of that, right now you get, your dependents, your children, your spouse. Now they get their service member to be at peace because they know that they're getting the benefits that they deserve for the rest of their life. Again, if you're P&T, I think there was a comment in here of, I think it was Al. If you are 100% P&T and then Congress passes something like the PACT Act, should you file a claim on them, or like why? You're 100% P&T. There's just no need for that. There's no need for you to get anything more than 100. Well, I mean, unless you qualify for any special monthly compensations, but that's something totally different. It's a very minimal veterans that qualify for that. But remember, you're 100% P&T, so the only way the VA will reevaluate you is if you submit a claim. It's the only way that they'll go in and research your conditions again, and then see if it's not stagnant, right? So if there's a new pill that came out that can cure whatever condition is in your case is stagnant, and you may be at 100, but you might lose the P&T. So, sometimes think about it. Is the risk worth the reward? And you might be losing out on property tax. That's all has to do with the permanent and total status. Champ VA for your family. Again, there's a whole array of benefits. Every state also has its own benefits. So that's also good to know.
Yeah, a big one too that we hear a lot when folks get that 100% is a lot of them are students and they get their student loans forgiven. That's a tremendous one because that's a lot of money that the veteran is paying monthly for those student loans that now they do not have to pay. It's a tremendous amount of benefits. Each state definitely does have, theirs. I'm over here in the great state of Texas. The first thing that I applied for was, that tax reduction. And I was just absolutely floored. We're talking $900 in taxes, um, you know, that just disappeared. So again, $900, you can do a lot of things. You can put your kids through college. You can go buy that nice car that you've been drooling over for years, but you kind of put off to the side. You know, there's a lot of great, wonderful benefits out there for veterans.
Yeah.
But again, it ties back, right, Henry, to the education piece. You know, getting out there and doing your research and learning what resources within the state that you're in are available to you as a veteran for specific percentages. All different percentages have different benefits that come along with it. A lot of times, yes, obviously, 100% P&T, there are a lot more resources open to veterans, but there also are a lot of great resources open to veterans that have lower disability ratings. And so
Yeah.
a lot of folks forget that. They just think, it's just about what you can get from the VA. But the reality is, again, that education and learning on this journey, because it's a continuous process. Things change all the time. Legislature changes all the time. Benefits change all the time. And it's absolutely critical and important to stay in the know game through maybe your local organizations and/or through internet resources, right?
So we have a few minutes left, Tony, but I do want to just touch on one that I saw here that
Okay.
I meant to ask. So my VA rating for mental health should be rated higher because I was a blank, because I was a infantry, because I was a whatever, right? Whatever you're the MOS, you can fill in the blank. So the VA mental health rating, it has nothing to do with your job, right? The rating, right? The rating has to do with your current, frequent, severity, and duration of your symptoms.
Mm.
Okay, and how does it affect your occupation and social? So it has nothing to do with uh, now your experience in the military might be the reason for connection, right? The service connection, but the rating has to do with your current symptoms, which is why sometimes I always tell vets ratings are not fixed. It's a variable rating. It can go up, it can go down, right? Because it's based on your current symptoms.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but
I like this comment right here because Donald kind of answered it. Donald Maycott here. He says he's been out 44 years and got compensation. Now, the previous comment in the chat there, Ernestine Grimes right there. I am 72 and separated 45 years ago. Will age hinder my claim? I think Donald answered that question absolutely for you. Age has no limit. What MOS you served in, what branch you served in, did you or did you not serve in combat? Um, hey, I didn't have this long career. I only did a couple of years. I was in and out. None of those variables matter.
right,
None of those
right.
variables matter. Those are all myths. Again, you definitely got to link up with the coach, and they're going to help you through that process. That's exactly what we're here for, to help veterans get after what they need to.
So to recap what it is that we do here, right? To recap what Tony and I do on a day-to-day basis, full of joy and excitement, right? We're here, dedicated professionals to serve veterans, being veteran ourselves, but strategy, education, medical evidence, right? One-on-one coaching sessions. We have Zoom classes again throughout the week. But go on vaclaims.help, get yourself scheduled for a discovery call. If you decide to say, you know what, I don't need a discovery call. I think Tony is actually a lot more, Tony's more handsome than Henry. So I'd rather work with him, or Henry makes me laugh, and I think he understands me. But listen, we're dedicated professionals here to help you and guide you in this process and coach you. And hopefully you won't make as many mistakes as I made, because I've probably made them all. But I'm eternally grateful for what I do every single day. Eternally grateful for what this company has done for me. So,
Absolutely.
guys, have a good day on purpose.
It's been an absolute honor being here with you.
Same
Take
here,
care
brother.
wherever you're at. Stay warm, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Ooh, stay warm, man. That one is real. It is cold out there. Have a good one, guys.
Take care.